All right. So I posted earlier today on what the 49ers could do at the wide receiver position. Probably a lot of people felt kind of unfulfilled by my suggestion or what I thought the 49ers would do, which is basically stand pat at wide receiver. But if somebody like Kendrick Bourne, maybe even specifically Kendrick Bourne, shakes free, then that might be the route they take. And I almost felt like watching practice on Tuesday certainly reaffirmed my belief, because in lieu of the top flight wide receivers, and we all know we've talked about the situations regarding Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, also Jordan Watkins. Ricky Pearsall is kind of clearly the 49ers top receiver out there, the top wide receiver out there. But you should always keep in mind that probably the 49ers top two pass catchers on the team. And I mean, you could even make the case that even with Juwan Jennings out there, these two guys are the top pass catchers on the team. And that's George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. And on this day of practice, 49ers really made that clear. Brock Purdy, it just seemed like almost every pass was either going to Kittle or McCaffrey. And as I write about it, NBC Sports, BayArea.com, late in practice, there was a swing pass in a red zone drill. McCaffrey catches it, goes into the end zone down the right sideline, kind of untouched. And the first guy to greet him there was Brock. Just hit everybody on the team. The first player to greet him there was George Kittle, and they did the side bump, the jumping side bump. The fans down there, seeing right in front of them two of their favorite players. Crowd goes crazy. But it was also, so McCaffrey caught that touchdown pass from Purdy, but it was also really the George Kittle show on this day. Pretty early in practice, catches about a 35-yard deep corner route for a touchdown. He also made a play that I kind of compare to that 30-yard catch he had against the Cowboys back in the 2022 playoffs here at Levi Stadium, where it was kind of juggling and caught it right down the seam. And then later in coverage was Jair Brown, and he makes a deep catch and goes in and kind of yells, he yelled at the top of his lungs, effing touchdown. So it was a day for George Kittle. And part of the reason also is because I think that any wide receivers the 49ers would bring in, or any wide receiver they would bring in, not to say they're going to bring anybody, would be kind of seen as a stopgap measure. So that's why I don't see them going after, someone like Amari Cooper and paying him what it might take him. Obviously, the 49ers did bring in Gabriel Davis for a visit in May, I believe it was. And that remains a possibility too, as long as Gabriel Davis, is aware that he comes in, his eyes wide open and everything else. But, when you think about Ayuk, that's a player the 49ers expect to have for 10 games, maybe more this season. Juwan Jennings still can't really get a read on that calf/contract, but, should he be ready to play week one? Probably should be. We'll see if he does. So that's a guy that's expected. Jordan Watkins is a player who's expected back right around week one. Now, as a rookie, he's not going to be in the position to contribute as much as he would have if he were doing all these practices. And now Jacob Cowing is back on the practice field. So that's why I believe the 49ers don't believe that they need to go out and pay money to get a starting caliber wide receiver because they expect to have all those guys for a good portion of the season. I wrote it in NBC Sports BayArea.com on Monday about Maris Seagull, how he's just continuing to rise up the depth chart. And that was certainly the case again on Tuesday. He's running with the ones, folks. And so I'm not saying it's likely that he's a starter week one, but he is definitely putting himself in that position. And what Robert Saleh said is that he's earned the opportunity to play with the first team defense. And as he gets more and more reps, what Saleh said is he's got to find a way to cement it. So, with Brown as a potential starting safety, as Jason Pinnock, potential starting safety, Maris Seagull very much on the radar and putting himself into that position. Something happened toward the end of practice that it just, warrants watching. Kyle Shanahan did not talk to the media on Tuesday. That was Robert Saleh. And so the update I got from the 49ers was that Ben Bartch left practice. I saw him leave practice. I saw the same thing last week. So I thought, as he returns from the quad injury, is this something that was pre-planned? He would only practice half, but I was told that he was injured. When he walked off the field into the weight room, he was by himself. He wasn't with any members of the training staff or the strength and conditioning staff or the medical staff. So I don't know what the situation is there. But what was interesting too was that when Bartch left the starting lineup, it was actually the rookie guard, Connor Colby, who slid in to left guard and took over for him. Now, Connor Colby is somebody that did not impress through the first 2 weeks of practices, but he looked really good in the preseason game against the Broncos. And the one distinction that I would make is a lot of times when players look good in the preseason, in a preseason game, it's kind of like fool's gold, where it's like, well, yeah, he's a third stringer who looked good, but he was going up against other third stringers, guys who won't be in the NFL. But the thing that made this game, the 49ers and the Broncos, so good from the 49ers standpoint was that the 49ers were going up against a playoff team that had the players one spot further up on the depth chart going against them. In other words, the 49ers second stringers were going up against the Broncos starters. So that meant that the 49ers third stringers were going up against the Broncos backups. So a good first game for Connor Colby. He's put himself in position to show what he can do. And I did not have him on my 53-man roster projection, but I'm going to be taking a long look at him in these practices the practice against the Raiders, which happens on Thursday. The first team defense also included Diamador Lenore out there, cornerback Dallas Flowers, who I do have making the team right now. He lined up with the first team with Renardo Green out of action for at least another week. So some of the things that from practice, Dominic Pooney caught a pass from Brock Purdy via Kyle Juszczyk, so it ricocheted off Juszczyk. Pooney was running down the field to make a block if needed, ends up catching the pass and turning that into a gain. On this particular day, Nick Bosa was not a factor. He didn't disrupt practice with his pass rush ability. Why? Because he didn't practice. Scheduled day off for Bosa, will be back out there, expected to be back out there on Thursday against the Raiders. I did see, definitely worth noting, that the 49ers had Brandon Ayuk was out there on the practice field going through a lot of drills, pre-practice drills, cutting, running. So he looks like he's rounding into shape. But again, probably most likely scenario week 6 for him. Isaac Guerrero with the shoulder injury was catching passes from the strength and conditioning staff, catching those over his head. So he looks like he's coming along pretty well as he recovers from that shoulder injury. Kicker Jake Moody, 7 for 7 on his field goal attempts, which with increasing distances each time, the last 2 kicks from beyond 50. So good news for him. Upton Stout did not practice on this day, but the 49ers hope that he'll be out there against the Raiders. So one really important practice against the Raiders, and then we'll see what the 49ers do in that game Saturday. Last week, of course, they had the practice against the Broncos. All their main guys practiced, and then the players, those starters, took the night off against the Denver Broncos at Levi Stadium. So see what the 49ers do. A quicker turnaround as the game against the Raiders is at 1 p.m. on Saturday. So that's a quick rundown from practice. Again, the Purdy, Kittle, and McAffrey show, and look no further to how the 49ers expect the passing game to survive without all those wide receivers. So thanks for watching this video, and that is it for now.